Hey, what's up, fine folks? Hope everybody's doing well. Today we're going to be looking at how to set up LVM on a Linux system, and more specifically, we're going to use AWS to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use AWS to provision some block storage that we need, and we're going to create LVM partitions on top of that. I know you guys are like, what are you talking about? Well, let me just give you a simple use case. Say, for instance, you're working with a database application like Oracle. A lot of times Oracle wants to write across multiple disks at the same time for whatever reasons. Performance, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a DBA. But say you need to set up four or five disks. Let's just say 4 disks. And they all need to be roughly the same size. And you feel like you're going to want to increase capacity later on down the line. You're going to want to be using LVM and you're going to want to be using AWS. Why LVM? LVM so you can increase the storage from the operating system level as you need it. You can increase more storage. But AWS because you want to be able to increase that block storage that's being supplied. So you have block storage from AWS. You have a physical volume in the operating system that we're going to create. We're going to create a volume group using LVM. And then we're going to also create a logical volume using LVM. May all sound confusing. We're going to walk through the steps and hopefully it'll make sense. Also, this is kind of more for some of you that, kind of know what you're doing, but you just needed that demonstration just to kind of show how it's done. That's pretty much what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be running through, showing how it's done. If you don't understand all the use cases for this, you can look it up or find some. I don't know. I'm sure you'll come up with some reasons why you would want to do this. But anyway, this is about AWS and setting up Logical Volume Manager on AWS. All right, let's get into it. We need to create an instance to do what we're trying to do. So we're going to create an Amazon Linux 2 instance, and we're going to set it as T2 Micro because it's free. And we don't care about any of these settings. We want to terminate on when it stops. Let's go over to add storage. Let's add the volume that we're going to use for the LVM. So let's add a 1 gigabyte volume that we will delete on termination. And yep, EBS is good. Tags we don't care about. Security group. Yep. Let's put a default security group. And let's launch our instance. As far as keys, let's use our Fedora key that we have on there. Let's launch it. So let's view the instance. Boom. Starting up. Let's label this as LVM instance. All right. So we got that. Got our instance. Oops. For some reason, this never saves. LVM instance. So is it going to save? Cool. All right, so let's look at the public IP. Let's grab that. Let's see if we can log in. EC2 user at that. And seems to be taking too long. Oh, still says pending, so it's still kind of booting up. Status checks, yeah. Still kind of doing its thing. Boom. Looks like we are in. All right, perfect. Let's do an LSBOK. LSBOK. And also, let me set something up real quick in .bash rc so I can use my vim commands. Set-ovi on the command line. I like to use vim commands, so it's very helpful. And let's do LSBOK. All right. Oops, let's source that too. All right, so here's our 1 gigabyte partition. Cool, we're gonna use that for our LVM. Now, our 3 basic commands we're gonna be using, we're gonna be using PV commands, VG commands, and LV commands. PV commands are gonna be used to set up physical volumes. The VG command set up a volume group, and the LV command is used to set up the actual logical volume. So that's the order in which you have to do stuff. You have to first set up a physical volume in LVM, then put the physical volume in a volume group, and then make your logical volume. So let's do that. So first command we're going to enter is sudo pvs to see if there's any PVs. There's none. Sudo vgs, there's no volume groups, and sudo lvs. So pvs is like listing your physical volumes, vgs is listing your volume groups, and lvs is listing your logical volumes. So we want to do sudo pv create because we want to create a physical volume, and we're going to say dev xvdb, and that is this volume right here that we are creating as a physical volume. So it says it was created, and if we go back to this command, we see that it was created and it's 1 gigabyte. Now we need to make this a volume group. So sudo vg create, that's how we do that. Sudo vg create, and let's give our volume group a name. We're going to say my group vg. Do not use dashes in here, because if you use dashes in a volume group name or a logical volume name, what happens is when the logical volume manager concatenates together the volume group and the logical volume, it's going to use dashes. So it's going to make it hard to see where the volume group stops and the logical volume starts as far as the naming convention. You'll see what I'm talking about. And actually, let's just give this a more pronounced name. Let's say Oracle VG, to say we're setting up a VG for Oracle. So we put the volume group name, and then we actually put the path to that physical volume we created. And it says the VG was created. So sudo VGS, boom. VG's created 1 gigabyte. And notice that if we come back to sudo PVS, we have 1 gig free, and the size is 1 gig. Now let's start creating our actual logical volumes. So sudo LVS, or LV create rather. Let's give it a name, our logical volume, and let's call this Oracle. Let's call this Oracle LV1 or Oracle 1 LV. Yeah, it's probably better. Oracle 1 LV. Okay, and yeah, I like this convention. I don't know. I'm indecisive. Oracle 1 LV, that'll work. So, and then let's tell it what size we want. We want to create this, we say 100 megabytes. So 100 megabytes. And no, I'll tell you what, let's make it 200 megabytes. 200 megabytes. And we have to tell it what volume group that we're going to use. So we're going to use the Oracle VG. Oracle VG. So it says volume, logical volume created. So sudo LVS, here's the logical volume. It's 200 megabytes, and this is the volume name. This is the logical volume name. This is the volume group name. Remember, I said do not use dashes in this name, and do not use dashes in this name. And the reason I said that is because if we do an LSBOK, you notice that LSBOK concatenates the volume group with the logical volume, and that's why you don't want dashes in either of those names. Also, if you do a ls-dv mapper, and you notice in there the same thing, you know, it's showed concatenated. So that's why you don't. So let's go ahead and create our other logical volumes. And let's create one more. Okay, so sudo LVS, and now we see we got those 4 logical volumes. And if we do sudo VGS, you notice we've got 220 free. And that's interesting that we have 220. Oh yeah, because this is in binary, so technically, yeah, it was 1048. Yeah, so that does make sense. So I'll tell you what, let's just go ahead and create one more. Let's create a 5th one. Bam. Okay, so now we got 5. We got 5 LVs. All right. So this is great. Our DBA should be pretty happy with this because we can show him that, hey, we're providing 5 volume groups to you. Now, Oracle probably is going to format this on its own. I don't know if it is or isn't, but I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and format some of these. So let's format each of these because we actually want to put some data on them. Because when we expand this volume group, when we expand the underlying AWS block volume, we want to make sure our data is still going to actually be there. So let's put a file system on it and put some data on there. So how do we do that? Well, we use makefs. Makefs.xfs sudo, and we're going to say dev Oracle VG, and then Oracle 1. Okay. So we can actually do it like this, or we can do the dev mapper and put a dash. And so I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we can do it this way, or we can also do this mapper and then add our dash here, because remember up here, the way the OS is seeing it also is with a dash in between the volume group and the logical volume. So we do dev mapper that, and this was number 2, and that works just as well. So now if we do lsblk, actually sudo blk id, we can see there's one of them formatted with XFS, and here's the other one formatted with XFS. So let's go through all the other ones and format them just for the heck of it. There's 3, 4, and 5. So sudo blkid, sudo, oh, this video is getting kind of long. It's already 10 minutes. blkid. So we've got our 5 volumes. Now let's go ahead on and create a directory that we can mount them on. So make dir, and let's do mmt oracle. We'll say this is dir 1. Oops, we need to be sudo. This is dir 2, dir 3. There's probably an easier way to do this. Let's see, could I have done, I think you can do I think we could do it 4.5. I think this will work. Yep. So let's do yum install -y tree. I want the tree command so I can list things out in a hierarchical manner. So when I do tree on MNT, you can see I've got, oops, so that one didn't go quite like we wanted to. So sudo rm, thought we could do that. Sudo rm, oh, I think I know what I did wrong. -rf mmt oracle dir. Let's try this again. Let's do, I think we needed this. I think. Let's see. Yep, that's better. So we've got our directories, and now let's mount everything. And sudo, let's go ahead and mount it in fs tab. Sudo vim. Actually, before we do that, let's copy and paste this. So sudo etc vim vi. You know what? We don't have vim installed. Let's just install that. Sudo install -y vim. Oops. Sudo yum install. Says it's already installed. Okay, perfect. It's already installed. So vim etc fs tab. Boom. So let's come down here and put our mount. Oops. Dev mapper. Let's do that. And we want to mount this on MMT, Oracle, Endure 1, XFS, default. Oops, actually, you always want to put netdev as an option. And why am I telling you that? Because when the system reboots, you want networking to come up. In other words, if the netdev is not there and the system reboots and networking is, oh no, actually, I'm sorry. We don't need netdev. I was thinking about NFS. And we're not doing NFS here, so we don't need to worry about that. So, okay, so we're good there. So, and now we can test this out. Oh crap. I opened this in read-only mode. Yay. So let's copy and paste this so we don't have to type it again. So let's get out of this. And let's just try sudo this time, which is what we should have did before. Paste that in there, just to make sure. I noticed it put in spaces instead of tabs when I spaced it in there. And I like to do tabs. Just, oh crap. Because it is called Etsy FS tab for a reason, is my assumption. So, I just want to do tabs. I'm just weird like that. I'm weird like that. So now, if you notice, it's not mounted, because if we do DFAC, you don't see it mounted in there. But if we do mount-A, that's going to test it before we actually reboot to make sure it works. And in true Linux fashion, if it doesn't complain, that means it probably worked. So if we look at it, we see that we have it mounted. So let's go ahead and mount those other ones. And you definitely want this in FS tab because we will be rebooting the machine afterwards. So sudo vim okay. Let's put in all 5. All right. So here's 2. Here's 4. 2, 3. Getting a little ahead of myself. Let's do 5. We don't have to do this many volumes, but I'm just doing it just to illustrate a point. And so now that we got those mounted, again, mount-A, sudo mount-A, and if we look, we see we got all our volumes mounted. If we reboot, they should still stay mounted. Okay, now let's put some files actually in these directories. So if let's just touch file 1, actually MMT dir Oracle dir 1 file 1 sudo. Okay, so you see we have that one file that's in there. Cool. Let's add another file, but this time let's give this file a size. So we can use a command called fallocate. So fallocate will make a file of a certain size. We want this file to be 50 megabytes. And we want it to be an MMT Oracle, and we'll put this in Endure 2. And we want the file to be called big file. Oops. I think it's lowercase l. Sudo. Yep, I think that worked. So let's go into it just to look and see. Oracle dir 2 lf-lh, and you see we got our 50 megabyte file. So again, that command was fallocate. That's good for making files of a certain size. All right, so we pretty much know we're probably going to be good, but I'm just going to pop a file into each one. dir 3, dir 4, And we'll make this one 100 megabytes in dir 5. All right. And again, if we do tree on MMT, we see all of our files. And if we do ls-lh on Oracle, we see 50 meg, 50 meg, 50 meg, 100 meg, and this one was just 0 meg. So anyway, we got our files on here. Now, for the exciting part. Yay, we want to so our DBA comes to us and he says we need more storage space. We need more file space because he looks at the file system and goes, oh, this is at 50% utilization. So we're going to need you to add some more space, out there across all these volumes. And if we look at our overall volume group, sudo PVS, or our physical volume, we notice we only have 20 megs free, but we need to double the amount of space that we have. So each of these we need to take up to 200 megabytes. So we need to increase our space in AWS. So what we do is we come out here in AWS, we have our instance, select it. We're going to come down and look at storage. And oh, there's actually one more cool command I wanted to show about lsblk. If you do -0 and then plus serial, what this will do, oops, it's not showing me. I thought it would show me the actual serial number of the disk inside AWS, but it's not showing me that. Interesting. I did this yesterday and it worked, but I don't know why it's not. Anyway, let's just click on this. And it's good to label stuff. So we'll label this LVM volume. Cool. And we want to take this from 1 gigabyte to 2 gigabytes. So we want to double this size. And first, before we do that, let me see. AWS volume ID with lsblk. Yeah, it says 0 plus serial, like it says this command. To see the serial number. Oh, this is on NVMe. EBS volumes have the EBS volume ID set as the serial number. So I'm not using an NVMe volume. I'm using a standard whatever. I don't think on T2 micros you even have that option. For example, I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but I just want to see back when I created this instance, because I was using T2 micro. Let's see if I use a T3 micro. Let's see if it would have given me. Oh, general. Oh, this is where I didn't add the SS. No. It should. It's SS. Wait, let me go back. NVMe volumes. Well, anyway, we're not going to get too caught up on that right now. Let's go ahead and expand our volume size. So we want to detach it, or actually we could just modify the volume while it's in play, I think. So let's put 2 gig here. And mind you, just to show you once more, when we did lsblk, we see that this is 1 gigabyte. So now we're going to make this 2 gigabytes. Modify the volume. And let's refresh. It says 2 gigabytes now. Now let's look on, it still says in use optimizing, so it's probably not ready yet, but let's just look and see. And what do you know, it's 2 gigabytes. So now all we need to do is do PV resize to take this up to 2 gigabytes. But let's come in here and refresh. I kind of want to wait till this wait till this says fully it's finished optimizing. But you know what? I'm feeling kind of adventurous. So let's just do sudo PV resize dev sdb. Let's see if it does it. So it says one volume resized. Let's look at it. And it's 2 gigabytes. Now, let's look at the VG, sudo VGS. And the VG is now 2 gigabytes, has 2 gigabytes accessible because we just increased the PV. So what we need to do is increase all these sizes. And what we do is do sudo LV extend. We're going to extend the LV dev mapper. I don't know. I think it's to do CV. We just put in the Oracle 1. This is the part I actually haven't done. No command with matching syntax recognized. Run LV extend -- help. Okay. Let's do that. LV extend -- help. Ooh, that's too much stuff. So it says add space to a logical volume, extend an LV by specified size. That's what we want to do. And we want to extend it to the full. So we're going to do -L, and we're going to do 100% free. No, actually we want to just extend it by 200 megabytes. Because if we do 100% free, it's going to use up everything in the VG. So we need to be very careful. Sudo LVS. So let's do sudo LV extend -L 200 M, and we say Oracle 1 LV. Invalid argument for extents. Oh, so I typed in the wrong command because it thinks that it's, I think I need to do a plus. Invalid argument for extents plus 200. Let's come in here. Let's Google. Let's say LV extend. So LV extend, oh, -L plus 1G, okay. My VG home, okay, so you need the whole path apparently. So -L. So we need this. And then specify a logical volume path. So the whole path is going to be dev Oracle VG. All right, so let's see. It says it was successful. Sudo LVS, and now this is 400 megabytes. Let's do the same to all of them. So 2, 3, 4, and 5. Cool. Sudo LVS. So now they're all 400. But let's look at the file system. File system still showing 200. And this is where we have to do sudo growfs I forget the command. So let's just look for it. Let's type in AWS grow fs xfs. Grow part. All right, XFS grow fs. Okay, that's what we want. So what's the -D for? To extend the file system on each volume, use XFS grow fs command. In this example, slash index data or the volume mount point shown output for D. Okay, I don't know what the -D is for right here. Oh, well, let's just XFS grow fs. So let's just say XFS grow fs dash help grow data and grow data meta. So I guess you need the -D. Sudo xfs grow fs -d dev. And I think you could just do mmt Oracle. We can actually put the directory of where the path is to do this. dir1. So let's see if that did it. Yep, worked on one of them. And let's also see, we use the path for one, but let's see if we can use dev mapper. Let's try it a different way for the next one. Oracle VG, Oracle 2. Let's try this. Looks like that's going to work too. My video camera stopped. So I'm not even sure where I stopped on all this. But as you can see, we did everything we wanted to do. We set up LVM. We used AWS to increase the volume sizes. We made sure our data was still there when we did all that. And hope you got something out of this. And if not, I'm sure you will in a future life. All right. Anyway, that's the video on LVM. Have a great afternoon. Peace.